and this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and does not constitute financial advice. Please consult with a qualified financial professional for advice specific to your situation. The views and opinions expressed are those of the hosts and guests and do not necessarily reflect those of the podcast producers or sponsors. We make no representations or warranties regarding the accuracy or completeness of the content. Hi, my name is Bella Carrasco, and helping others feel more comfortable about investing brings a huge smile to my face. I pull together my resources to interview experts in each area of the due diligence process and answer how do you know questions when considering your future financial safety. But that wasn't enough for me. As an ex-collegiate soccer player, I know the parallels that athletes have with everyone else. That is, the fact that we all have several identities and the capability to add more skills to our repertoires, including investment knowledge. For these reasons, I also bring on athletes so that we can learn how they became confident in the investment world and learn the tips that got them there. We go deep into questions about many phases of the investment process with the goal of helping you go from practice to game time confidently. This is the How Do You Know podcast. Today, we are learning from Amobi, who was a former professional soccer player and now co-founder of Serve Consulting, who helps athletes, influencers, and brands through content, strategy, and partnerships. So thank you for being here. The age-old question, how did you make the decision to retire from soccer?
That's a great question, and thanks for having me. For me, I was going on 12 years, and I was currently playing on Austin Bowl. The team was going to be defunct, and it was a situation where I had already been really tapping into my business passions. So even I was doing speaking engagements and workshops while I was playing my last couple of years. And when the Austin team was defunct, it was a situation where maybe keep playing, but I was leaning towards, all right, let's go all in on the business stuff. I feel like I got all I could out of soccer. And I never wanted to be the guy trying to play longer than he should have. Body was intact, mind was intact, and I was in a good situation to finally move forward. I didn't want to be the guy that's contract chasing. You see me in Iowa or wherever trying to play. I love soccer, but I don't love soccer that much. For me, it was I'm at a good age. Let me I have my second game, and that's going to be business. And
nice.
Let's take that jump into that next.
Get out while you're ahead, right?
Yeah.
And it sounds like maybe this business side definitely percolated in the last couple years when you were playing, but did you think about life after soccer when you were first starting out?
So when I first started out, yes and no. My dad, I always tell this story, but when I got drafted, my dad said, congratulations, you're now closer to the end of your career than the start of it. So it was
thanks, Dad.
A dad's good, tough love, but it was a great reminder that, this is a job now, so you got to give it your all every day. Keep the main thing, but also on the back end, take care of the things that you need to take care of from an education standpoint, because I convinced my parents to let me leave school after my freshman year. So it was mostly a reminder, take care of your education while you're playing. You don't want to be the jock that, had a professional career, but then struggles to get a job after because you don't have you don't want to give them an excuse. If they say you need a bachelor's, you have that. They say you need a master's, you have that. And they say you have work experience, you have that. So that was basically his way of saying, use the leverage you have now to take advantage of the opportunities for your lifetime.
Absolutely. I think my dad would be the same with the blunt truth as well. Yeah. So I guess it sounds like maybe these sorts of topics were conversations you had early on, or when you were younger, did you and your family ever discuss money at all?
Yes and no. It wasn't like we were all right, this is how you open a stock account. It was more oh, I have money now. This is what you need to do. Me and my parents and my family, we joke around if you would have spent your signing bonus and invested it in this is how much it'd be worth now. I probably wouldn't have to work.
Yeah.
But because everything was new, and I can think we were playing from instead of a offensive approach, we're kind of you just became pro. Let's take the precautious defense approach. I put my signing bonus in a CD, and while it was
nice,
one of the best decisions I made, it was also one of the worst decisions I made in terms of just overall growth of the money in that account. So
you wish you would have done something a little riskier. Is that what you're saying?
maybe not more riskier, but just more proactive.
Okay.
A CD was like a safe option, which is it's
Right.
good to be safe, just coming into the league. But you think about if I had already had some of that financial knowledge, I could have been like, all right, we're going to use it in a multi complex real estate opportunity, or we're going to open up a brokerage account from the jump. But because we were kind of learning as we grew,
Yeah.
um, we said, all right, this is what you need to do: life insurance, get a CD. So as much as we did, that was really good. There's
Hmm.
just you always just want to play. You always play hindsight, especially as
Yeah.
an athlete. You're like, oh, if this would have went this way, we could have. But in hindsight, everything was good. It's just if I already had the knowledge, or if we already had the knowledge ahead of time, there's some
Yep.
other things that we could have done.
Right. Well, I don't think you should be too hard on yourself because how many other people do you know that actually invested their signing bonus? Would you say it was a small fraction?
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, to be honest, I don't know. You hear some stories, people, spent it all in a week. Some people
Right.
invested it to start their real estate portfolio. Some people
Mm.
don't even know that they had a signing bonus. So, yeah, like you said, you got to run your own race, especially when it comes to your career and then obviously
Yeah.
your financial portfolio. But like you said, we can't be too hard on ourselves, and we just take the lessons that we learned from then and apply it to what we're doing now.
Yeah, and honestly, it's great that they even encouraged you to invest that signing bonus. Do they come from finance backgrounds at all?
No, so both my parents, bless their hearts, they sacrificed a lot for me and my siblings. But
Yeah.
they both worked in for the government and
Wow.
have. I mean, my dad just recently retired, but when it comes to like, they weren't in investment banking or financial
Sure.
advising or anything like that. It's just
Yeah.
like they use some of their common knowledge and their own
Right.
situation to help me and as I embarked on my journey.
So it is possible. Like you don't know everything at first, but if you just take that first step, then that's closer than you were probably yesterday or the day before. So
Exactly.
like we were saying, hindsight is 2020. If you could do it all over again, what would be a first step that you would take for someone who does want to learn more about investing?
Oh, that's a great question. I would say definitely immerse yourself with talking to as many people as you can,
Yeah.
specifically financial advisors, wealth managers, people in the financial industry, and not to just try to see who you're going to hire and stuff, but more so
Yeah.
what are like some of the common themes that these individuals talk about? What are
Yeah.
some of the common trends that they will tell you to look out for? What are some recommendations in terms of resources that you can look up? And then I would say definitely budget. Learn how to budget
Mm,
first and foremost. If you know how to budget, then that's like the foundation of everything else. And
okay.
then the next step would be from the investment standpoint, have a strategy. We didn't really have a strategy. It was just like play safe, keep it
Mm,
under
mhm.
control, understand you're just starting out. But if you have a strategy coming into it, you'll just be a little bit more confident, have a little bit more clarity to make,
Yep.
more sound decisions.
Yep. I always say if you have a plan, then you can get to your end goal more efficiently. If you
Exactly.
don't, then you're just going to be roaming around and frolicking through the forests.
Exactly.
But I like the notion of you saying, like, let's interview a lot of different people because I think that each person probably has their own vendetta and motives and education. So the more different perspectives you can get, the more then you can make an intelligent decision for yourself. And that's when I encourage people to just like put on your investor hat, have to do the research and the work, but it's ultimately you who is going to care about your money the most. So it's not I'm too scared to invest and learn about investing. It's just taking the plunge in and just having one conversation and then the next and then the next. And then you'll be surprised by how slowly your knowledge will start to build.
Exactly. Like my biggest thing is that exposure leads to expansion. So you have to expose
Yeah.
yourself to a lot of different resources to really get at least a good initial grasp of what you're looking to do.
Yeah. Exposure to expansion. You need to trademark that.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it might already be, but we're definitely going with it.
Yeah. So it sounds like you have this entrepreneurial spirit, but did you go plunge directly into starting your own thing or did you also get a job after retiring from soccer?
Yeah, so after retiring, it was a great question. I did a little bit of everything, and that's kind of been my MO since I was
Mm.
younger. But I've always had the entrepreneurial bug. Even in like high school, elementary school, I was finding ways to make extra money because I didn't get allowance.
Ah,
And then while I was playing, I started originally a frugal athlete. That's kind of what got me into this space that we're in now and
okay.
built kind of my name outside of just on the field.
Hmm.
But immediately upon retiring, I had a couple contract freelance positions on top of continuing to build out the business with my business partner.
Oh, very okay. What would you say has helped you get to where you are today?
Just the athlete mentality, being
Yeah,
adaptable, being able to read the play, being able to be tenacious in what it is that ultimately you want to pursue. But I think at the end of the day, it's just grit,
right.
showing up, trying to provide value, trying to find ways to, make a difference.
Yep.
That's led me to some unique opportunities, and then taking advantage of the moment when when those opportunities come. So,
Yeah.
I like to use acronyms and analogies. If you're on a breakaway, it's like this is your chance to score. Don't
Yeah.
lollygaggle and
Yeah.
dribble out of bounds or just shoot it.
Right.
Take advantage of the moments that you put yourself in position for.
It's that age old saying, luck is when preparation meets opportunity. So you got to
Exactly.
beeline it to the goal. Yeah, I think a lot of athletes have so many great traits, and that's why so many people love to work with them, love to hire them, love to befriend them. They just have like time management skills, tenacity, like you were saying, all these different traits. And even though the goal may look a little different when you're off the field, it's still applying those same traits to whatever your new goal is. So I love that analogy because it doesn't literally have to be within your sport. It's just like, okay, my sport looks a little bit different now, so how can I essentially keep doing what I have been doing? My environment just looks a little bit different.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. There's nothing that you haven't done in sports, especially if you
Yeah.
made it to the highest level, that you can apply to whatever it is that you're doing next.
Right.
Entrepreneurship, corporate space, operations, creator, whatever it is, you've done something in sports that you can apply to that next game, that, as I like to call it. I think a
Yeah.
lot of times, as you mentioned, people love working with athletes because of all the traits and skills that you mentioned. I think from the athlete side, we do need to make sure that we protect ourselves, because that athlete mentality, people tend to try to take advantage of it.
Yeah.
So just like, in sports, you got to stick up for yourself at times and just don't use that athlete crutch where they say, oh yeah,
Right.
they can handle, you can handle it, but like within reason.
Yeah.
People will use it as, oh, you got to climb up the ladder. Yes, you do, but it shouldn't be at the detriment because you're an athlete. So I always like to
Yeah.
remind athletes, like, just because you're coming in maybe a little bit later, that doesn't mean they get to treat you a certain way. Obviously, you have to go through the grit and the grind of whatever culture, work, there's different things that you got to do, but it shouldn't be at the expense of how you're being treated.
Yep, exactly. And it's kind of like what we were alluding to earlier. It's okay getting yourself educated so that you know what you're worth and you know what is right from wrong, or just like making decisions for yourself and being able to be thoughtful about the ultimate decision that you make in any environment that you're placed in.
Exactly.
For those athletes that do maybe want to be more entrepreneurial, I would love to hear just any roadblocks that you came across when forming your own business to be aware of.
Yeah, that's a good. We could be here all day talking about this, but I think like specifically with athletes that have the means, this extended run rate might convolute your judgment in actually the business, because
Mm,
maybe you've saved up enough money or you have enough money because you've had a couple big contracts. You have a longer run rate than most people starting a business do, whether
mm,
they raised money or not. So that kind of clouds your judgment in some of the decisions you need to make. So sometimes you get stuck in the ideation phase. So for me,
mm.
I spent way too much money on like a website and a logo,
Oh,
and it's like, what what problem are you solving?
yeah,
What's your avatar in terms of clients that you want? What is your actual business plan? So it's like taking these ideas and actually building business cases from them. I think
yeah,
that's the biggest thing that I would recommend for any athlete looking to get into entrepreneurship the right way or the real way. It's
yeah.
like, most importantly, what problem are you solving? What value are you providing? And who are you serving? If you can
Yes,
answer
yeah.
those questions, I mean, obviously you want to start with why, and why will lead to what and how, but you need to be able to solve a problem. You need to be able to add value, and you need to have the avatar or the clients that you're actually going to serve.
Those are great questions to have answers to, because I was actually just having a conversation the other day with someone, and it's just like you can get so roped into watching YouTube videos and, like you
Oh,
were saying, just like perfecting the little things like the logos and the social media aspect. But if you just stay on course by answering those questions that you prompted, I think that that will help you create action, because
exactly.
you can be in a state of flux all you want, but unless you take that first step, it's meaningless.
No, you're exactly right. I think a lot of times when you answer those questions, it just makes it easier to share what you're doing. So a lot of times when we first started out, I was kind of all over the place. Oh, I do this, but actually we do this, and I mean we serve whoever is trying. It's like no, no. All right,
Right,
what do you do? How do you do it? And who do you do it for?
right. Yeah, like have conviction and confidence in what you're doing.
Yeah, most definitely.
And along those similar lines, what is the best piece of advice you were given along the way?
Uh, I could be here all day, but at the end of the day, it's like protect your reputation. So once you build it up, don't do things to lose that because your reputation, especially in the sports world, sports business world, word travels fast. So protect your reputation. But at the end of the day, make results.
Hmm.
Performance equals tolerance. When you produce results, people will find value in you. So yeah, we can
Absolutely.
go out to all these different conferences and network, and your network is your net worth and all that stuff. But
Hmm.
if you provide value, um, if you serve, if you create impact, all those things that you're looking to accomplish from a network perspective, from an opportunity perspective, will take care of themselves. So at the end of the day, keep your reputation strong. So what does that
Yeah,
look like? Be nice to people. Be a person of your word. Just treat all people with respect. Um, and the rest will take care of itself.
absolutely. That's great advice. I want to now transition into your business specifically. So I know I kind of did an overarching view of it, but would love to hear in your own words why you started it, and how you help people.
Yeah, it's very timely because we're going through like some of our own clarity discussions now in
Nice.
terms of what do we exactly do. So originally started a frugal athlete back in 2016, and that's what's kind of led me on this path now. But originally was a platform to help athletes in terms of making prudent financial decisions and smarter career decisions. So after watching the 30 for 30 Broke documentary, there was an overflow of information around athletes losing their money, but there wasn't any platform of athletes doing the right things with their money. So it started out as a blog. Every week I would just write about an athlete that I felt fit the frugal athlete model. And then from there, it kind of expanded to a media education company where we'd help athletes learn about financial literacy, career development through the information that we shared, and then like workshops we provided. Since then, we've kind of evolved. Our mantra is now athlete CEO. Every athlete is an enterprise. So how can we help athletes leverage their capital in their career for opportunities both on and off the field during their career and after their career? And then Surf Consulting is actually like our boutique business where we want to help, game changers and visionaries, so athletes, influencers, brands through our frameworks that fall under content, strategy, and partnerships. Between me and my business partner, we have some quite some experience in the spaces that we like look to help people.
Yeah.
So how can we, help build bottom lines and help create sustainable impact through these different efforts.
I think it's brilliant because, like we started off the conversation with saying, not many people took their signing bonus and made it work for themselves. And I'm a big proponent, and your name, image, and likeness isn't going to be as hot as it is when you're actually playing. So, how do you set yourself up for success when you have that going for you, and not when you're at the end of your career saying, shoot, I need to start doing these sorts of things? So, it's great to hear that you and your business partner are helping people think about those notions and ideas earlier on.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that's what we're trying. We're trying. Right now, we're in a clarity phase where we're trying to like really hone down and just get super, super intentional about, all right,
Yeah.
this is who we serve, this is how we do it, and this is what we do. Or this is,
Always an iterative process. It's never
yeah,
a
it's
straight line.
exactly. But we don't want to get stuck in that cycle of always iterating.
Right.
But very timely question, so appreciate that.
Yeah. Content is a huge topic in today's day and age. So, how can people learn more about its capabilities, would you say?
I think you touched on it earlier about like you can watch all the YouTube
Yeah.
videos, but at some point you're gonna have to do it,
Yep.
and you learn more by doing. You learn, all right, this one worked. All right, so let's double down on this. All right, this one didn't work. Let's change this. You don't learn. You can only do education for so long. You got to actually apply it and then use the learning lessons from that to change and experience and implement. So I would say content, throw a bunch of stuff on the wall, see what sticks, and then continue to iterate. And then throw more stuff on the wall, see what sticks, continue to iterate. We've learned a lot. I've done a podcast, I've done newsletters, I've done video, short form, long form, all this stuff. But at the end of the day, all right, how can I apply all these things to like, all right, figure out what is my best lane when it comes to content? What is the audience asking for? So they'll tell you what type of content they like. You'll know what works, and then sticking to what works for you, because there's going to be a lot of noise.
Hmm.
This trend, you need a newsletter. You need to be posting 3 times a day. You need to do the.
Yeah.
Now, this was what works for us. This is how we're going to do it, and this is what our audience responds to, and I'm going from there. I think a lot of times, yes, you have to be up to date on different trends, whether it's like conversion, click funnels, or short form edits and stuff. But
Hmm.
instead of like doing what the herd is doing, figure out how to apply it to what you are already good at.
And I want to reiterate and highlight the action piece of it. Like, you just got to do it. And then I also want to bold and underline the fact that you have to then reflect on what's actually working. Because if you just keep going, 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 and you don't take the time to pause and reflect, then you might be having some time and energy wasted in areas that aren't exactly serving the company or you.
Exactly. Yeah.
From a technological standpoint, what would you recommend for video editing or any other sort of technology that maybe people don't have enough money for at the forefront?
Yeah, that's a good one. Ooh, I would say Google Suite. Like you can really do everything on the Google
Yeah.
products from the standpoint of like project management, email, calendar, all the like admin, operational stuff. From like tech stack as it relates to content. To be honest, you can do everything on your iPhone, but in
Yeah.
terms of like apps, I would say CapCut, Canva, and those two, that's the holy grail. And then Notion. I use Notion for a
Mm,
lot of my like operation OS work. I could honestly do it on Google, but I like Notion's user face a lot better for
sure.
some of the stuff that we do in terms of like content database, CRM. To be honest, those are pretty much it. CapCut, I would say,
Yeah.
is game changer, especially like editing from your phone. Canva for like graphics and stuff.
Right.
Other than that, I mean, I use Calendly, but even then, I can probably get rid of my Calendly. The founder is Nigerian though, so I got to support him.
Uh,
But like Google has a service now where you can charge or schedule with like a similar Calendly link type of infrastructure. I'm trying to think right now, what other things do I have on my phone? Yeah, Canva, CapCut, and your phone. That's all you really need.
yeah, I've heard the iPhone quality, the camera quality rather, is actually pretty superior
Yeah.
compared to anything else that you would buy.
Yeah, like I have a tendency of like getting all these different gadgets, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I always go back to my phone. So
Right.
your
Right.
phone is, yeah, your phone can take care of a lot of different things that you need.
And I know that you were alluding to how many times a week to post, and we were talking about reflecting on what's working and what's not. How do you personally measure the success of your content, and how many times a week do you recommend posting?
How I measure the success is if I post. That's the win right there. It doesn't
Mm,
matter if it's one person follows it or
yeah.
10 people or 100,000 people. The fact that the hardest thing to do, sometimes the hardest things to do are the most simple things to do. And simple thing to do is post and post consistently.
Yeah.
So for me, if I post consistently, that's the win right there. And then obviously what's working, what are people responding to, then I can double down. But I
Yeah.
think a lot of times ideate or we brainstorm or we play all these scenarios in our head, and it's like all this stuff you still haven't posted. So
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
win is posting, because that's gonna you can't in order to be viable in this day and age, you got to be visible. So
Right.
if people don't know about you or don't hear about you, how are they gonna come to you? And then
Right.
the second part of your question was in terms of posting schedule. My tendency is like I want to post on one of my major platforms at least every day. So I don't have to
Okay.
post on all the platforms every day, but I do have like my own like social media matrix where my priorities right now are LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. No specific order, but I got to post on one of those platforms every day,
Yeah.
and not just post because I need to hit this metric, but it's like I got to post something intentional around my business that's going to help move the needle forward, basically.
Right. Yeah, I feel like some of us are looking for like the secret sauce or the formula, and it's just like, no, just post. Like it's as easy as that.
Yeah, I have like my mantra is pitch, post, publish. I do those things every day.
Yeah, there goes your alliteration again.
Yeah, sorry, I'm like acronyms and analogies.
Uh-huh. Yep, I love it. What about in terms of getting recognized by brands you want to be a part of? How would you say people can get noticed by those sorts of people?
Yeah, that's a good one. I'm still trying to figure that out today. Like we had good swings, we've had bad
Right.
swings. For me, I think you got to show interest ahead of time. So
Mm,
we already have brands that we like. If you just go into your house and just do like almost like an audit, like, oh wow,
right.
these are the brands I'm already using. Implement, if you're looking to like connect with them, implement them into your content already. Engage with them. So
Mm,
say, for example, I'm trying to think of a brand. Let's just say like, oh, so Ray-Ban, Meta, engage with them on their socials.
yep.
Even if it's liking, even if it's commenting, show interest, and then like create those touch points. And then when you have your ask, now you have, I don't want to say like a body of work, but you have
Yeah.
um, some skin in the game, or they have like they can like go back to their bank, their data bank, be like, where do I know this person before? Oh yeah, they've been posting about us for this amount of time, or I feel like I know this person, but I never really met them. Oh, because they engage in our socials. So you got to like create these touch points in order for that ask to be a little bit more meaningful. Gary Vee, depending on how you feel about him, he talks about like the jab, jab, right hook method. And
Hmm.
so basically create these jab moments where you're just planting the seed, planting the seed, planting the
Mm,
seed, and then at some point you're going to sprout. So that's the
yeah.
process that I've been taking. The other one is just, a cold email, a cold Instagram DM, a cold
Yeah.
outreach doesn't hurt. You got to shoot your shot. 100% of the shots you don't take, you miss.
Yep.
So, um, yeah, it doesn't hurt to ask, but when you ask, just be super intentional, super respectful, and have your ask. Don't, hey, I would love to blah 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 blah
Yeah.
blah. Blah. It's like, no, I love your product. Would love to, create some sort of collaboration. Is there a best point of contact I can reach out to, or do you have a best time to schedule a quick meeting for us to connect more? I think when you're super intentional and respectful of other people's time, and then trying to find a way to show value or provide value,
Yeah.
people more often than not are going to connect with you. They may be busy, but they'll eventually, you know, they'll eventually come around.
Right. Yeah, it's almost like building a resume of sorts for yourself.
Perfect. Yep.
Are there any common mistakes that you see when consulting athletes?
Oh, athletes are fun. I was one, so I do show grace, but I think I think the biggest thing is like while every athlete has made it to a certain level, not every athlete has. So for me to say I'm trying to do what LeBron's doing
Mm.
wouldn't make sense. LeBron is the top 1% of the 1%. Like if I'm 1%, he's 0.001%. Like, but I can use the playbook that he's applied to do something on my own level.
Mhm.
So, all right, he started a production media company. All right, I did too, but through my YouTube, not hiring 100 people and raising all this money. So, trying to figure out the principles and gems that they've applied and apply it to my own playbook. I think a lot of athletes, because like, oh, well, I share a locker room with LeBron James. He's doing this. I could do that too. Or he's pro 10 years. I've been pro 10 years. these are things that I could do. But there's levels to the game.
Yeah.
Just because you made high school doesn't mean you make it to college. Just because you made it to college doesn't mean you make it to pro. So understanding that and having just self-awareness as an athlete, I think is really important. And I think that's a lot of times the mistake that people make.
Yep.
Specifically when it comes to finances, it's like, a lot of people talk about wait till you make it to your second contract. But a lot of athletes don't wait till that second contract to start making some, life-changing financial decisions.
So true. Almost like crawl before you can walk. Take an honest assessment about yourself and where you are.
Exactly. As bad as it sounds, because athletes have to have that mentality. That's why they've made it to where they've made it, or how they've made it this far. You kind of have to have that delusional mentality. But when it comes to off the field, no, you got to be a little bit more realistic.
Very good. Well, I want to end with a quick 3-question fire round. The first one being, if you were given $1 million today, how would you invest it? And it can't be your own business.
Can't be my own business. Ooh. I would say 10%, you got to pay yourself first. So not pay myself specifically, but like for legacy, generational, different things. I would say I'd put 20% on some real estate, 30% in S&P 500, a little bit international, a little bit of domestic. Just trust the Warren Buffett method, S&P 500. And then I would probably invest in like some cash flowing businesses.
Yeah. That is like the golden child these days, it feels like.
Yeah, some cash flowing businesses. Damn, you really got me with that. I can't invest in myself because
I know.
Yeah, for sure.
Second question is, what is your favorite restaurant?
Ooh, my favorite restaurant, my mom's kitchen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but that's a good one. I don't have like a favorite restaurant, but I do have a favorite type of food. Like, so whenever I travel, I go to find the local Nigerian cuisine or a local Caribbean spot. So that's like my thing.
What is your go-to order when you go to one of those places?
So when I go to a Nigerian spot, jollof rice, plantain, chicken, some
love plantains
on the side. If I go to a Caribbean spot, usually half oxtail, half curry goat, rice and peas, cabbage, and some plantain. So yeah, we eat good when we're on the road.
Oh yeah, that sounds delicious. Last question, favorite piece of media to stay up to date on the news?
That's a good one. Favorite piece of media? I would say Twitter or X, I guess.
Yeah. Are there any specific accounts you follow that you like?
No, not on X. On Instagram, in terms of news, like sports news, I would say if it's sports news, then Instagram. But general news in totality, X. Specifically for Instagram and like sports news, people I follow: Front Office Sports, Boardroom, Vetted Sports, Sportico, Joe Pomp. Those are probably like the ones. Off Ball, they do a good job of like curating the sports news. For general news on X, you kind of, with the algorithm, you kind of just
I know.
So, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah, just follow some news channels, you'll get there.
Yeah, exactly. I'm following like all the major news ones just so I get like a full holistic view.
Right, exactly. It's important to get the both points of views.
News.
I know. I get it. Well, Amobi, thank you so much for your time today. Why and how should people reach out to you?
Well, I always hear the how, never hear the why. So how they can reach out to me at Amobi Says on all social platforms, Amobi Okugo on LinkedIn, www.amobiokugo.com from the website. More than happy to connect. Always make time for people that are looking to, collaborate or just better themselves. I think we can all win. In terms of why, my mantra is the vision is clear, the road is not, and I help provide frameworks and direction for you towards your North Star. So whether you're an athlete trying to build an enterprise, an influencer trying to build a business, or a brand trying to, grow your bottom line and build sustainable impact, I'm a resource for you to help accomplish that.
Beautiful. Well, thank you again. I hope people feel more empowered to make those first steps towards their financial future, whether it's investing or taking advantage of their brand building. So until next time, adios.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
If you are ever interested in a recap with the main points discussed throughout the podcast episode, Check out the Q&A series because we dig deeper into the concepts discussed, and you can follow along on YouTube if that's preferred. If you find any value in the show and want to support it, it would be awesome if you texted someone right now about it. You can say you have a podcast recommendation that you think they should listen to, and then ask them to get back to you with their thoughts. Anything helps, and I really rely on the amazing investors like you to spread the word. Thank you so much for listening, and please feel free to reach out at any time.